we're looking at, this was a legal research project. Let me see. I didn't do a very good job saving the last one, but I'm going to try to get this right. I guess you're going to watch me log into Blackboard, but the project we're talking about is the legal research project. Now, some students think legal research is, I heard this from my friend. We're really looking for sources, or this is common knowledge. When we're dealing with the law, we want to be much more precise than that. We want to make sure that we're doing what reasoned legal experts tell us is appropriate. This is the workplace. If you think employers never get sued by their employees, think again. It's a very litigious nation, and people oftentimes, they're kind of looking for ways to, how do I get over on somebody? How do I get what I want in things? I think I'm going to just save this out to the desktop. All right, so what I've done is I have gone into course content, course documents, found legal research project ethics document. And this is simply, we've opened it before. Hopefully you've seen it. Hopefully you've already looked at it. By the time you're viewing this, you should already have found your 2 cases. Remember, you're going to do both of them. And you have a good idea what you want to do. Or you know exactly what your 2 cases are. For those of you who have decided, I'm going to wait around till somebody else goes, here's your opportunity to do what I told you to do. You must find, so remember, you're assigned to 2 numbers, 3 of 7. Well, you're going to look for page 3 of 10 and 7 of 10. You're going to take, and really all I want is not the stuff that's in italics or in blue font here, blue color font, is I want you to look at just copying the hypothetical itself. Each new module, and remember, modules occur every 2 weeks, and I'm going to, some students have hit me early in the semester, why aren't all the modules up? There are a variety of reasons for that, most of which is a lot of students would be overwhelmed by the amount of work in this class. The first 4 weeks are a real challenge for a lot of students, and they're not used to being hit the ground running classes. They're used to, we'll kind of get you acclimated in the first 3 weeks. Well, I spent enough time in the United States Navy and the Marine Corps that they start you off right away, and they expect you to begin to get it right away. I'm sort of the same way. All right, so what we're looking for in this is we're going to analyze facts. Do the facts state a case? What facts are missing? If we modify the facts, what would happen? And we're going to do this with each one of them. Each of you is going to work these 2 problems in toto all the way through. The only difference is that your final opinion, when you write a sort of a memo of page and a half to no more than 3 total pages of analysis, you're going to be able to walk through the process of analyzing this event. And I'm going to change this to page width. I just don't see that well. You're going to walk through it. And what the model we use is the EIRAC model. And I'm going to, since I can edit, I'm going to hopefully add this here. That is event, issues, rule, regulation, research. Do we know anything? Have we looked at this? You know, what does our research tell us are these issues? Okay. Then we go into analysis. And I walk you through this. I'm going to give you this step through, but we're going to work all semester, at least the first 12 weeks, intentionally on making sure that we've dotted I's, crossed T's, so that we're very able to do a final paper, which is our conclusion. And, you know, the way these facts are set, we may struggle with some of this, but this model of EIRAC, E-I-R-A-C, event, issues, rule, regulation, research, analysis, conclusion, is a good way of kind of thinking critically through this entire project. All right, so that's what's going to be looked for. This is worth at least 100 points. It varies from class to class, semester to semester, maybe 150. Well, out of your class, that's a 10% to almost 8% of your total grade. You know, some students think, oh, this is a blow-off. They get to learn it the hard way that, no, this is not a blow-off, and you really should be doing this, and there's real value to you in doing it. I probably shouldn't talk to the people who are just, how do I get through college with the least effort? You know, they'll get to reap their reward later in life. All right, so what we're looking for in each of these, first of all, let's walk through what are the events. All right, so I'm probably only going to cover this first one in this first video, but our event here, and then I'll try to cover the balance of them in 2 other videos. I'm not liking, you know, I can't really track my time. I guess I didn't put my little timer thing up. Let me just check my time. Okay, we're doing good on time. And maybe, can I just bury this over here? I don't know if this will show. I'm going to close it back out. Ooh. Is it there? Oh, no. What did I just do? Oh, there it is. All right. So it's up here. That's better. I'd rather have that thing. Anyway, that's great. There we go. That's really what I'm looking for. And then I'm going to move this here, and you'll never see it. So what I'm talking about is my recording device, and they change software all the time, and things are different. So I'm pushing that out of the way, but now I can see it, and I've just wasted another minute. All right, you are working for a global enterprise in their marketing department. That is the sales. You know, you're one of the sellers. A supplier of materials gets to know your work and, being appreciative of the high caliber of that work, approaches you about a side job working for them. Hopefully, at this point in time, you have some alarm bells going off. Why are they asking me to do a side job for them? They're a supplier to us. What's going on here? Then we go on. This supplier makes an internal component of your company's best-selling item. All right, let's read a little into this. Let's read between the lines. One of your company's best-selling items, and it looks like I've got a blue squiggly here. That generally means you probably need to modify what you've done. We'll just go ahead and save this because I may leave this as it is. My other option is to save as, usually a better way to do this. I got there's a pretty old copy of Word here, but kind of interesting that they're interested in me working on a side job. That internal component represents well over 75% of the supplier's total annual sales. All right, so let's unpack this a little bit. Is it possible that they want to do kind of Chinese invention on this? We're just going to copy your item, and since you're in the marketing department, you've got the customer lists. Those are one of the most valuable things any company owns. And guess what, salespeople? Those lists belong to whom? The employer, the company. You are an agent of this company. You are not an independent contractor, at least under these facts. You work in their marketing department. Could we modify this, that you are an independent contractor? Yeah, we could. And we may get a whole bunch of different issues that relate to that. As an independent contractor, does the independent contractor then control the customer list? Not if the employer works things really well, and it's also like, that's the last thing we're going to do is hire an independent contractor to do sales for us, because their temptation is, I'm going to take the customer list. So down here in the bottom, and not every one of these has this on it, I've added some words in purple type, which probably, if you're, kind of look like, oh, that looks like legal type issues. So the idea here is duty of loyalty. Now, if we go in and we type, this is how hard legal research can be. If you know the buzz phrase, notice duty of, and duty of loyalty in Google comes up as number 3. In corporation law, describe a fiduciary's conflict of interest and requires fiduciaries to put the corporation's interests ahead of their own. Well, I think, and you'll keep seeing this is fiduciaries. Well, it also applies to employees and agents. It may be to a lesser degree, but basically the duty of loyalty is you work for this company, everything you have belongs to them, okay? This is, even if you generated the new client, it's still their property because you would not have generated it but for them owning the business, all right? So first and foremost, you work for a company. You don't really necessarily own any of your labor. They own it all. They own all the fruits of your labor, all right? And I think you need to understand that walking out. Let me give you a securities example. I teach in finance, and one of the things that legal or registered representatives or the salespeople in finance do is they build a pretty big client list. And then let's say they're at Scottrade, but they want to go over to Fidelity. Can they take the clients with them? No, period. The clients can choose to go with the people, but there are limitations on what that registered representative can do to tell people. The fact that maybe they've got the registered rep's cell phone and they call him, that's perfectly fine. That is their choice. But for the rep to go out and say, hey, I just moved over to Fidelity, why don't you move all your files over here, is wrong. Because guess what? Scottrade owns that client list. They've given you the imprimatur of this is a trustworthy person because we've reviewed them. You therefore don't own even your own clients under most circumstances. The other one we've got listed here, and I'm going to see if I can shortcut this a little. You can just take these and copy them in. Now, some of you are going to find, well, I don't have those things there. I didn't do it for every one of these. I do it for a little bit for the example. Oops, I just blew it, sorry. I don't know what I did there, control. Tortious interference with contract. So what do you think this means? Well, here's the cool thing. It says, what are the elements of tortious interference with contract? A valid contract or economic expectancy between the plaintiff and a third person. All right? Knowledge of the contract or expectancy by the defendant. All right, so let's look at this. Who would be the plaintiff? Well, guess what? It would be the person in your marketing department, or the company, the global enterprise, might sue this supplier. The supplier would be the defendant. So let's look at this step by step. Do we have a valid contract or economic expectancy between the plaintiff and a third person? Plaintiff, global employer. Third person, this employee. Yes. Knowledge of the contract or expectancy by the defendant. Yes. Can we all agree on that? That, that supplier knows you work for this marketing department. Intent by the defendant to interfere with the contract or expectancy. And then actual interference. I leave it to you whether those are all satisfied. If any of them fails, the whole case fails. It's an and. That says more items. Let's just see what else we get there. All right, so this explains it a little more. Here's a site that you may all want to book, search FindLaw, tortious interference. Is it a perfect site? No, but it's probably for our purposes okay. And for you as a boss, yeah, it's probably okay. I did this on FindLaw. Here's what it showed. You could show this to your lawyer, or you can talk to your lawyer about, here's what I hear. All right, so why is this tortious interference? Well, maybe or I think it is. That doesn't mean I'm right, okay? Remember this. There's a reason in the law that we have advocates on both sides, because we can always make it work. If we argue these facts or we argue the law, old statement in the law is, when the law favors you, argue the law. When the facts favor you, argue the facts. When you've got both in your favor, your opposition's in trouble. But if we were to take this side job, and maybe I'm answering this one completely and I probably shouldn't do it, but what you've got to do is walk through, is there a duty of loyalty? Where's your citation? I actually want to see you quote a source. Is FindLaw good? There are better ones. It's a third-level source. It's okay, maybe. But maybe what it does, if we go back to FindLaw, does it have links to other things? Probably here, everything's going to be internal. All right? But, they lay it out pretty well. You could quote bits of this, and it's nice to be able to quote this as a search engine, and you should use APA citation, which includes the date you access it. Now, why is it important the date of access be there? Is that websites change every day, just like my software for recording this lecture kind of changed. Everything changes, okay? So anyway, that's kind of an introduction pretty much to the whole thing. What are we going to do on the final opinion? Basically, what do we do in this thing? We're going to, in a serial fashion, explore all the ramifications. We're going to follow the directions each time we go into a module. And if you look at my side of the modules, you'll see that we have 8 modules, and each time I'm going to have something in there. Let's just click on one to give you an example. Case, presentations, definition. There it is. Legal research project. Utilize the EIRAC model to begin drafting a final opinion. So by now, by module 5, we should have done event, issues, rule, analysis, conclusion. We should be at the analysis stage. We're about ready to look at conclusion stage, and how are we going to play this back to one another. All right. So ultimately, you're going to write kind of a memo that you would put on the boss's desk. And so it should be as professional as you can make it. Would you rather turn in sloppy, unprofessional work to your boss? Yeah, you better have your resumes out. Because they may go, boy, that's the 5th sloppy, unprofessional thing I got from them this month. Do we have anybody else in the pipeline ready to take over their position? Guess what? Most employers have 1,000 resumes for your job. And so, you may think, oh, no, I'm wonderful. Well, you got to keep proving yourself constantly. So anyway, I make it hopefully clear enough in each module that you don't need much more introduction. But thanks for listening. We'll stop it here.